Right, off we go. Let's take the webcam on. Turn the webcam on. Where is it? There we go. Hey up, it's that old Yorkshire geek here with some more news for you, or pour vous as they say in France. Before you start complaining, yes, I know, I've got a Star Trek Discovery t-shirt on. I thought we got some Star Trek news tonight that's kind of Discovery related, but it's Kurtzman Trek. Back in season 1, I used to like Star Trek Discovery. I liked Star Trek Discovery season 1. Then after that, it kind of just went. So back in the day, I bought a t-shirt. So I thought I'd wear it tonight, just for the laugh. Anyway, we've got a bit of news tonight, so we'll crack on. I shall shrink myself down into the corner. Where am I going? Where I go? Wee, down we go. There we go. That'll do. And we'll get us news up when I find my buttons. There we go. Right, off we go. Right. So I can read it. Right, there you go. Anyway, Alien film franchise resurrected by Evil Dead director Fede Alvarez. And I like that remake of Evil Dead. You know, it wasn't perfect, but you know, it was a decent attempt. And there's an alien. Looks like that's from Aliens, doesn't it? Because they don't have the cover over the head. It had like a semi-transparent thing over, didn't it? In the first Alien. But James Cameron thought it looked more interesting without it. Anyway, but whatever. Right, in what could easily be the biggest news bomb of the year, we're only on March. Evil Dead and Don't Breathe director Fede Alvarez will both write and direct a brand new Alien movie for Ridley Scott and 20th Century Studios, reports The Hollywood Reporter. As usual, the link there. As usual, the links are in the description box below. And as usual, don't forget to like and subscribe and drop a comment and share the videos and use the notification bell and all that. All that weird stuff that YouTube likes you to do for the algorithms. Anyway, we shall carry on. And thanks for watching. Thanks for joining me anyway tonight. I'm live, but there's no live viewers at the moment. But what the heck? It's very rare that we do. Anyway, where were we? The project is described as an original standalone feature, which is a breath of fresh air after several big swings by Scott himself. Alien Covenant were bloody awful. I hated that film. I quite liked Prometheus. I quite liked that. It were all right. Yeah, it wasn't amazing, but it's a decent film. But some of the characters were stupid. It's supposed to be these amazing scientists, this $1 trillion expedition, and they just crewed it with idiots. Anyway, whatever. Ridley Scott, who of course directed the original classic in 1979 and later returned for prequels Prometheus and Alien Covenant, will produce via his Scott-free banner. The project is intended to be made for Hulu as part of 20th Century's ambitions to make more than 10 movies a year for the Disney-owned streaming service. So it'll probably be on Star, on Disney Plus, elsewhere in the world. THR reports. 2 of such projects are the David Bruckner-directed Hellraiser reimagining and Predator prequel Prey, both on the slate for 2022. Is that a quote from... I'll read that. Alvarez's take is being kept deep inside the studio's chest, but sources describe it as unconnected to the previous movies. Said that about Prometheus, didn't they? Anyway. According to THR sources, Alvarez is a rabid fan of the franchise and casually pitched a take to Scott many years ago. The idea remained implanted in Scott's brain until late last year, when he called Alvarez out of the blue and asked him if the younger filmmaker was still up for it. Alvarez didn't have to be asked twice. 20th Century Division President Steve Asbel said of Alvarez's strong pitch, "It was just a really good story with a bunch of characters you haven't seen before." Fede Alvarez is fresh off of producing the brand new Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is currently streaming on Netflix. It's not getting a lot of good reviews, to be honest, is it? I haven't seen it myself yet, so anyway. On a related note, FX has a small-screen Alien project in the works at the moment, a planned Alien television series from Noah Hawley, like his planned Star Trek TV series. That's expected in 2023. Not series, films. He wouldn't just film a Star Trek film, wouldn't he? The Alien film franchise is currently 6 movies deep, with filmmakers including James Cameron, David Fincher and Jean-Pierre Jeunet bringing to the screen their own versions of the xenomorph monsters that Ridley Scott and Dan O'Bannon gave birth to back in the 1970s. No word yet, and Alvarez has pitched for his own take on the material, but we expect more real soon. Oh, that's it. So there you go. So they're saying, it is unconnected to the previous movies, and like I said, Ridley Scott kept saying that about Prometheus, didn't he? Kept saying, it's got the same DNA as Alien, but it's unconnected. But it ended up being entirely connected, as far as the engineers were concerned, because they were in Alien, weren't they? And Alien Covenant were just shite. Oh God, I hate that film. I'm sure Ridley Scott's. Yeah, he's a good director and producer and stuff, but I'm sure he's going senile. I think he just likes to hear himself talk. He just just says things, doesn't he? Anyway, look forward to that, because I actually like Fede Alvarez. He's a good director. I liked Evil Dead, and I like Don't Breathe. He's Uruguayan, isn't he? He did like a YouTube video, didn't he? Like an alien invasion of Uruguay. Is it Montevideo or whatever they call the capital of Uruguay? An alien invasion that got him his. That got him his Evil Dead gig, I think. Anyway, so I look forward to that. See when that happens, if it happens. Right, next up. Why Star Trek Enterprise's John Billingsley shot down an offer for Strange New Worlds, which is the new series coming out soon. And there he is as Phlox in Enterprise. Is that some sort of... Oh, I'm not going to go there. Anyway, he was scraping his tongue, wasn't he? He's alien because he's a denobulan from Denobula Triaxa. And we haven't seen any more, really, have we? That I can think of, apart from in Enterprise. Star Trek Strange New Worlds will debut on Paramount Plus on May the 5th, 2022. It's a show that only came into being once Anson Mount was seen playing Captain Christopher Pike in the second season of Star Trek Discovery, thereby activating the sensitive nostalgia glands of good Trekkies the world over, or at least the Trekkies with access to Paramount Plus. Strange New Worlds claims that it will deviate from the broader arc-oriented structure of Discovery and Picard, and mercifully revert to a traditional Star Trek episodic structure. This, in addition to taking place on the familiar Enterprise NCC 1701, the 25% different Enterprise NCC 1701, and featuring familiar characters such as Spock, Ethan Peck, who's suddenly got a learning disability, even though, oh, God. And number 1, Rebecca Romaine, is it Lieutenant, or is she a Commander now? Commander Una, isn't it? Which is, means 1. Anyway, also called from the nostalgia singularity would be Dr. Is it Mbenga or Mbenga? I don't know. I've always said Mbenga. Is that right? I don't know. I know I've seen him in the original series, but I can't remember how they pronounced it. Anyway, I said Mbenga. From the original series episodes, That Which Survives and A Private Little War, now played by Babs. Oh, here we go. Olasan Mukun. Maybe. Apologies to him. Uhura, now played by Celia Rose Gooding, and Nurse Chapel, now played by Jess Bush. We'll also be introduced to Khan's granddaughter, La'an, Christina Chong. Oh, crying out loud. If one were to wail her name in rage, would it be spelled La'an or La'an? Oh dear. Like Lower Decks before it, Paramount Plus is positioning Strange New Worlds as reference bait for enthused Easter egg hunters. Whether or not it will be a good show remains to be seen. It probably won't be. Given the time, but episode 1 of season 2 of Picard were okay, So we'll see. Given the timeline of Trek events, it takes place immediately before the events of the original Star Trek series. Well, not immediately. Star Trek Strange New Worlds has cleverly left itself open to all manner of cameos and returning characters. There's no reason a young Kirk or Dr. McCoy couldn't come visit. God, I hope not. And indeed, some of the longer-lived alien species from Star Trek Enterprise could even make an appearance. A quick glance over a few half-mentioned details in several episodes of Enterprise, for instance, reveals that Denobulans, the species of that show's Dr. Phlox, live at least 300 years, if not longer. An elderly Dr. Phlox could conceivably visit the Enterprise. In an interview with TrekNews.net, interviewer Kyle Hadinyak brought up this delightfully nerdy detail to actor John Billingsley, who played Phlox. Billingsley was frank about how Trek was kind of behind him professionally. The returning plays there's Phlox, smiling away. Not doing his massive denobulant smile where it goes all the way up there, though, is it? Star Trek has always looked after its players, and if you manage to land a minor supporting role on one Trek series, it's likely you'll be asked back. Actor Vaughn Armstrong, for instance, played 12 different characters across 4 different shows. Jeffrey Combs played 4 different roles in Deep Space Nine alone. More if you consider that he played several clones of the same character. Armin Shimmerman and Mark Alemo both played roles on Star Trek The Next Generation before landing regular roles. Red lorry, yellow lorry, regular roles on Deep Space Nine. Majel Barrett and James Doohan played multiple voice roles on Star Trek the Animated Series, so it should perhaps come as no surprise that the makers of Strange New Worlds gave John Billingsley a call, asking him to audition for their new show. Billingsley was less than intrigued. He had no interest in returning to the Trek well. Oh, now here's the thing that got me. I was asked to audition for a small supporting part on Strange New Worlds, and I said to my agent, could you just let them know that I was on Star Trek? I turned it down. Billingsley is a little baffled as to why he would have even be asked. After all, Enterprise had been cancelled in 2005 or 2005, whatever, when the show had just completed its 4th season, ending a long run of new Trek shows and movies that had begun all the way back in the late 80s. Fans and Billingsley understand Enterprise to be the deviation from the Star Trek model of success. Some even view the show as an embarrassment. Not me, I love Enterprise. To be honest, I think Enterprise is my... Yeah, I'm going to say it. It's my favourite Star Trek series. It's the one I probably re-watch the most, because they're all on Netflix now, aren't they? I've got all the DVDs and some Blu-rays. But I think Enterprise is the one I re-watch the most on Netflix. Because it looks great in HD, and it's a great series. I love it. I love it. And it were ended. It's bloody, what's his face, isn't it? Les Moonves. He has always hated Star Trek, which is why he gave Kurtzman the keys to the kingdom, why it's been ruined. And he sat back and laughed as Les Moonves. Don't know why he hated Star Trek so much. Anyway, where were we? We'll go back, right. So this is John Billingsley talking again. I think there's a strange disconnect between the folks making the new shows and Enterprise. Ooh. I think we were seen at the time, fairly or unfairly, to be the red-headed stepchild of the franchise, the show that briefly crippled the franchise. Pardon me. Well, yeah, I suppose, but not in my eyes. So I'm not sure if... So I'm not sure if there's any great appreciation or even cognizance for the Enterprise cast, with maybe the exception of the Captain, as characters to be resurrected. I could be wrong. Still talking. And there's the was it Mikey Spock, number 1? I mean, Rebecca Romijn lovely, isn't she? And Anson Mount, he's a handsome chap and he's got screen presence and charisma, and he were good. He were the most Star Trek thing in season 2 of Discovery. He played a good Pike. Anyway, the world of streaming, however, is very akin to a moist grotto that constantly produces an unending supply of affectionate mushrooms to grow out of the corpses of any and all moribund pop culture properties. Add these delicious mushrooms to the fact that all streaming channels have no limit to the amount of programming they want to provide, and you have an entertainment marketplace where bad ideas no longer exist. If a show has any kind of fan recognition at all, there's no longer any reason not to try it out. As such, Billingsley's aversion to returning to Star Trek may be underestimating the public's appetite for mushrooms. I promise I will hereby drop the mushroom simile. Very good. But he did Stargate, didn't he, John Billingsley, in an excellent episode called The Other Guys, it were called. And played a character that were always quoting Star Trek, and even referred to the altar of Roddenberry, didn't he? That was a great episode, that. The Other Guys. Stand easy, we're here to rescue you. Anyway, that's there we go. Billingsley's refusal to return to the role may also have more practical concerns. For one, he hated the makeup. Voice acting Dr. Phlox on an animated show would have far more appeal, he says. I love that character. I would happily come back, especially to voice Phlox. Coming back as old, fat Phlox would require me to get into 2.5 hours of makeup. I wasn't crazy about putting a rubber head on every morning. Billingsley also expressed relief in playing the Doctor on a Star Trek show as opposed to a bridge officer. As it turns out, the style of shooting a Star Trek bridge scene is vastly different from the types of shots selected for other scenes throughout the ship. Like all actors, I wished I had a little bit more to do sometimes, but thank God I didn't have to be on the effing bridge. It's all wonders. If you're not on the bridge, everybody can be huddled together for a 3-shot. But on the bridge, it's like, hey, that guy is over there, that guy's over there, and that guy is way over there. The setups are interminable. Those scenes are the ones where you always have to pretend you've seen a horrible alien or have somebody yell, shake at you. I hated that stuff. Well, yeah, because all characters were at the stations, weren't they? So you had the captain in the captain's chair, and you had like on Voyager, and you had Tuvok over at the tactical station, didn't you? And you had Ensign Kim over at the ops, which were at the rear of the Voyager bridge. And then you had Tom Paris on at Con, at the navigation station. So that's why they were all wonners. If you've ever seen the behind-the-scenes footage of the Star Trek cast shaking in their seats, pretending that the ship is rattling around, you can perhaps imagine how silly an actor must feel. Billingsley makes a fair point. But in the films, they had a gimbal set, didn't they? So the set actually did shake in the movies. Billingsley is currently the board president of a charity called the Hollywood Food Coalition, which provides meals to low-income families throughout Los Angeles. You can support it by following that link. And that's it. Next up, Jurassic Next Generation's 10 best episodes. I bet they're not the 10 I'd pick. Shall we have a look? Right, I'm going to have a look. I need to know now, sorry. We need to know. Half Alive. Nope, that's not one. Conspiracy. Yeah, I liked it, but it's not in the top 10. Q Who. Yeah, because that's the Borg one, isn't it? Is it? Is Q Who the Borg one? Yeah, it is. Yes, it is. Yes. Relics. Yes, that would be in my top 10. All Good Things. I don't know, to be honest. Everybody raves about All Good Things, and I liked it, but it wasn't one of my favourites, to be honest. What else? Darmok. Yes. Darlock and Jalad at Tanagra. Inner Light. Yeah, I suppose so. It's an episode, is that I think it's a bit boring. But then once you sit and watch it, it's over in no time. You start crying. Chain of Command. That's another one that I don't know. I won't call it my favourite because it's a bit grim, innit? Best of Both Worlds. Yep, that'd be in there. Yesterday's Enterprise. Yeah, that'd be in there. And that's it. So what would they replace the ones like that? What would they replace that with? I like actually the season 3 opening episode, Evolution. I really like that episode. Don't know why, I just do. So that can go in there. What else? Let's replace All Good Things. What can we put in place of All Good Things? The Drumhead. That'd go in there. That with Admiral Sati, and she's putting everybody on trial. That's a good episode. Relics are great. I love Relics. I love Q Who. Conspiracy. No, I won't put that in my top 10. I do like it, but I actually do. The one that's not long after it, the Neutral Zone. For some reason, I love that episode as well, where we see the Romulans again for the first time in ages. So yeah, stick the Neutral Zone in there, which is an episode that not a lot of people seem to like, but I love it. And they find them humans from the 20th century, don't they? They're a bit annoying, but you know. But I do like that episode. What else? Half-Life. Oh, that's the first one, isn't it? So what can go in place of Half-Life? Well, there's any, because I don't like that episode. Hey, let's think of one. My top 10. Ones that I watch a lot. What do they call it now? That one. What do they call it? Well, there's loads. There's that many, isn't there? But what could I put in my top 10? I like the Pegasus. And I like the one where Geordie and Ensign Rowe get phase shifted. I can't remember what that's called now. Is it the next phase? Yeah, it might be. Yeah. There's that one with where the Enterprise and a Romulan ship are caught in a time thing. Timescape. Yeah, I'm going to say Timescape. I like Timescape. Yeah, I'm going to put that in there. So there we go. That's my top 10. So there. Anyway, let's move on. We've got another Star Trek. We've got a few Star Trek things this time, actually. We've got another Star Trek story, as you've seen in the description, about Section 31, and we've got a thing about a drinks printer, which they say straight out of Star Trek. But we'll come to that later. Anyway, this is breaking news. Well, it is for me anyway. I Am Legend. Michael B. Jordan to join Will Smith in sequel movie. Didn't he die? I can't remember. It's that long since I've seen it in I Am Legend. I thought he died at the end. That all blew up. But there were two endings, weren't there, on the Blu-ray? There were two endings, weren't there? And I can't remember which is the proper end. You know, there were an ending where they survived and they went to this place, didn't they? This sanctuary, whatever it was called. And there were ending where he blew himself up. And I can't remember which is, the true ending. Anyway, maybe it says in the article. It's been over a decade since Will Smith's 2007 hit I Am Legend toppled the global box office. And predicted Batman vs Superman, didn't it? Anyway, Warner Brothers is finally upping the stakes on the property with a new sequel in development. Per Deadline, Smith is returning for the next chapter as star and producer. He'll be joined on screen by Black Panther's Michael B. Jordan, who will also produce. These actors producing their own films. It's not right. Oscar winner and producer Akiva Goldsman, who adapted the Richard Matheson 1954 novel, is also returning to write the follow-up. Oh, fair enough. If he wrote the original, fair enough. As long as it's not messing up Star Trek, like he's doing. Plot details at this time remain under lock and key. The 2007 film saw Smith's Dr. Robert Neville wander alone through New York City, calling out for other possible survivors, and works on finding a cure for the plague using his own immune and blood. So I went all, yeah, didn't I then? Anyway, Neville knows he's badly outnumbered and the odds are against him, and all the while the infected wait for him to make a mistake that will deliver Neville into their hands. I know they didn't look right good, really, though, did they? Why didn't they just use people instead of CG? I don't know, because they didn't look good. Considering how I Am Legend concluded Neville's story, it'll be interesting to see how they approach his return. Yeah, I thought he blew up. Oh, is that it? Oh, there we go. Yeah, I thought he died at the end. Maybe not. Maybe the end is the bit where they went to that sanctuary place. I don't know. So there we go. Pardon me. But I quite liked I Am Legend. But everybody cried when the dog died. Spoilers. Right, back to Star Trek. What's happening with Star Trek Section 31 spin-off, and does anybody care? Inquiring minds want to know about the Star Trek series. Well, yours does, but mine don't. And there's the lovely Michelle Yeoh as Emperor Giorgio from the Mirror Universe. The Star Trek franchise rapidly expanded in size with a number of new shows in recent years, and even though we have a lot of them on the air already in 2022, more Star Trek spin-offs are coming. Section 31 was the first spin-off announced after the premiere of Star Trek Discovery. But many shows have premiered since, and it hasn't aired one episode yet, because there haven't made any episodes. For that reason, a lot of fans might be wondering what is going on, just what's going on, with the Section 31 spin-off, and if we'll ever see it on Paramount+. We have all the answers for that and more, so for anyone looking for what's happening with this Michelle Yeoh-led series, look no further. And there she is again. Last update on the series was February 2022. Star Trek recently confirmed that while it's been a long time since they announced the Section 31 spin-off, there are still plans for it to happen. Paramount Plus original scripted series president Nicole Clemens confirmed as much during the TCA Winter Tour in February 2022 via Den of Geek, and promised that more news would come on the series soon. It's possible soon could be the upcoming First Contact Day celebration slated for April 2022, which will feature an in-person celebration in Chicago. The good news is that Star Trek Discovery successfully sent Michelle Yeoh's character Philippa Giorgio back in time, back in season 3. He was the Guardian of Forever, didn't they? God, what awful. The Section 31 spin-off seemingly took place in the past as the organisation played a part in the early seasons of Discovery prior to the time jump well into the future. At the very least, we canonically have the character in the right place for the spin-off to happen, which presumably needed to happen before the series premiered. Hopefully that means the wait won't be much longer. The series has been in development for quite some time. Star Trek announced Section 31 back in 2019, and while the series hasn't premiered, that isn't to say nothing happened. Alex Kurtzman assured that while the show isn't in production, development and scripts are moving along on the series. Yeah, but he says a lot, is Alex Kurtzman. Kurtzman noted that COVID shutdowns gave the writers of Star Trek shows a chance to catch up on scripts, even though the production schedules of many of their shows got pushed months out. Now that things are seemingly back on track for the franchise, it's possible that progress is moving much smoother on all fronts. As of March 2022, we don't know exactly where development is on Section 31, but given the time gap Star Trek writers got with scripts while production couldn't happen, it's possible they're just waiting on a chance to start filming. Of course, there are some specific parameters in regards to Section 31 in that department, which may also explain why the series isn't happening right now. One currently airing Star Trek show needs to end before production starts. Section 31 will happen, but it don't. But Star Trek's decision makers are clear that one thing needs to happen before the show officially airs. Paramount Plus programming chief Julie McNamara and Alex Kurtzman both said in an interview with Variety that in order for Section 31 to happen, one of the currently airing Star Trek shows needs to end. That's a bittersweet pill to swallow for some fans who want every Trek show to run for all eternity. I know, but 7 seasons would be nice. That used to be the norm, didn't it? Until Les Moonves swung his axe. But a reality of streaming and television we must all accept. The good news, however, is that it already seems like we know which Star Trek show will end to make way for Section 31. Star Trek Picard was only planned to run for 3 seasons, and with Season 3 already in production, the Jean-Luc Picard series' days are numbered. It's not the best news for fans who love Picard, but it's certainly better for a series that planned to end to get a series finale than one that had no intention of ending. Plus, then there's a slot open for Section 31, which should be entertaining. And you know, you want entertaining, Section 31 wasn't entertaining in Discovery, was it? Super secret organisation that nobody knows about yet has its own fleet of ships and everybody seems to know about it. And it even has its own comm badges, you know, the black badges. They walk around saying, I'm with Section 31, showing me badge. Anyway, Michelle Yeoh's availability might play a factor in production. Michelle Yeoh wasn't exactly an unfamiliar face in Hollywood when she joined Star Trek Discovery, but her star power rose quite a bit during Season 1 of the show. Since Season 1, she's been in movies like Crazy Rich Asians, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and is confirmed for Avatar 2 and its planned sequels. Avatar alone will create a busy work schedule for Yeoh, and any actor or actress that joins the MCU, even in a supporting role, can always come into the universe in an unexpected moment. I'm not sure we'll see her in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 character again. Was she in that? I can't remember. But the Shang-Chi character feels possible. Oh, was she in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 now? I'll have to watch that again. I can't remember. Filming a television series. Was she, she was, one of the, what they call the pirates, you know. Oh, I can't remember what they call them now. Them, she was one of them, wasn't she? Yeah. Filming a television series is a time commitment, especially if you're the star of the show. With Michelle Yeoh's busy schedule, it's possible locking her down for a season or more of Section 31 isn't going to be the easiest thing to schedule. Of course, this is only speculation, and perhaps the process is much easier or already figured out, and all of this is a non-issue. At least one other former Star Trek Discovery cast member may appear. Is that a word? Cast member, all one word. We know Michelle Yeoh will appear in Section 31. No, we don't know anything. As a star of the show, but Star Trek set another Discovery veteran in a key role of the organisation way back when. Ash Tyler, played by actor Shazad Latif, was made acting commander of the covert organisation in Giorgio's absence. Should the series return, it makes sense that Latif will also be involved in the series, and at one point the actor seemed to believe that as well. In a conversation with Trekkie Girls back in 2019, Shazad Latif believed production on the show was a couple of years down the line. Just have a drink of water. Hey, by gum city. Obviously, he didn't know about COVID and production shutdowns then, but with that factored in, it's possible the slightly altered timeline of when Star Trek wanted to do Section 31 is back on track. Either way, Latif hasn't said he won't be involved in the time Either way, Latif hasn't said he won't be involved in the time since. So it stands to reason he's still involved. Hopefully, we'll find out soon. Section 31 is in development, and when it finally arrives, it seems certain this chap, doesn't it? And when it finally arrives, the only way fans will see it is with a Paramount Plus subscription. In the meantime, be sure to check out what other Trek shows are on the way and what to expect for the rest of 2022 and beyond. Seem a bit keen for Section 31 for some reason, as young Mick. Or it Mark? Can't remember. No, Mick. Yeah. I don't think it'll happen. I think the boat sailed on Section 31, or if they do it, it won't have Michelle Yeoh in it. It'll just have Shazad Latif, which might make it better. I mean, I do like Michelle Yeoh, but I wasn't over keen on her Empress Giorgio character. She would have Captain Giorgio, I love that, but they killed her, didn't they? Unbelievable. Anyway, next up, as I said, I don't think they'll do Section 31. I think that's pie in the sky thinking. But you never know. Right, I'm devastated and furious. This is kind of a list. 12 actors controversially recasting films from Johnny Depp to Rachel Weisz. Is it Weisz or Weisz? Another thing I don't know how to pronounce. Nothing riles up actors or their fans quicker than a controversial bit of recasting. Venture into any Fantastic Beasts hashtag or the YouTube comments section for its latest trailer, and you'll be inundated by Johnny Depp fans condemning his exit from the franchise. Yeah. Often it becomes a poisoned chalice for the film itself. Fans quick to express their anger at the idea of a mummy movie without Rachel Weisz, or a Nightmare on Elm Street revival without the original Freddy Krueger. Why don't you say his name? You're not allowed to say, Robert Englund. Many times, maybe they couldn't remember his name. I know how you feel. Many times it's the actors themselves who go public with their upset, from Terence Howard's frustrations with Marvel to Julia Sawalha's disappointment over her exit from the Chicken Run sequel. I thought he wanted more money, or top billing or something like that for Iron Man 2. I can't remember. Money is typically at the root of it, but other situations are arguably far more infuriating. Scheduling problems, feuding, a voice that apparently sounds too old. We've gathered together 12 times when actors were recast for sequels or reboots of much-loved films, giving way to all kinds of upset. Johnny Depp in Fantastic Beasts, The Secrets of Dumbledore. Days after the British High Court found that a newspaper report dubbing him a wife-beater was substantially true, Johnny Depp announced that he'd been asked by Warner Brothers to resign from the Fantastic Beasts franchise. Found, substantially true by, a judge that had ulterior. No, what's the phrase? A conflict of interest, shall we say? I think that's the diplomatic way of saying it. Because he wasn't found, guilty in, the jury of his peers, was it? It was just some judge that had connections, in showbiz. Apparently. Anyway. The actor had played villainous Gellert Grindelwald over 2 movies, with Mads Mikkelsen stepping in to replace him for the 3rd film, The Secrets of Dumbledore. And fair enough, they can do that, because obviously in the first film he was, Colin Farrell, then he transformed into Johnny Depp, didn't he, at the end. So I suppose it makes it easier for him, doesn't it? The move sparked an abundance of Twitter outrage, with hashtag campaigns proclaiming support for Depp and others pledging to boycott the rest of the Fantastic Beasts series unless the actor is reinstated. Yeah, well, that's a bit late now, isn't it? But, I don't think they'll get him back. I don't think they will. You need to move on, Johnny, and I'm sure you will. Because I don't think he was guilty. I think, Amber Heard was mental. I think it was, 6 of one and half a dozen of other. They were both as bad as each other. Anyway, Robin Williams in Aladdin 2. Robin Williams' voiceover role as the genie in Aladdin is arguably the most famous bit of animating acting in film history. Less famous is the war between Williams and Disney that followed the film's release. The actor publicly condemned the corporation after he claimed it had ignored his request to only use his voice for the film and not any of its merchandising. I just don't want to sell anything, Williams said in 1993, as in Burger King, as in toys, as in stuff. At first, Disney denied that it made such a deal with the actor and sent him a Picasso painting worth $1 million as a peace offering. Nice, isn't it? Rather than $1 million. That didn't work, and Williams refused to return from the straight-to-video sequel, The Return of Jafar. After incorrectly assuming it could merely replace Williams in the role, Homer Simpson actor Dan Castellaneta stepped in. Disney admitted they'd ignored Williams' request about using his voice and publicly apologised. Satisfied with the apology, Williams then returned for the sequel, Aladdin and the King of Thieves, in 1996. But Dan did all right. Here's another Stargate that appeared in Stargate as well, didn't he? In that episode where he were basically living, he were connected to Colonel O'Neill, wasn't he? And basically living Colonel O'Neill's life in his head. There was some alien device that connected him. I think it was the communication stones, wasn't it? The first time we saw them, I think it was that anyway. And they were connected to him, so he was seeing all the missions that SG-1 went on. He wrote them down, didn't he? And telling stories about all this stuff. Anyway, it was a good episode of that. Right, Terence Howard, stop moving about. Terence Howard in Iron Man 2. By the time Iron Man 2 rolled around in 2010, one major cast member looked very different. Don Cheadle had stepped into the role of War Machine, despite Terence Howard originating it in the first film. But Don Cheadle was a better fit, wasn't he? He was good. Terence Howard were alright in Iron Man, but Don Cheadle is better as whatever it's called. I can't remember his name now. Him anyway, yeah, War Machine. The switch proved controversial, with reports claiming that Howard and Marvel had fallen out over money. Further reports claimed that Howard, because he was the very first actor cast in Iron Man, was paid significantly more than every other cast member in the film, including star Robert Downey Jr., something Marvel sought to rectify for the sequel. They came to me with a second movie and said, look, we will pay you 1/8 of what we contractually had for you, because we think the second one will be successful with or without you, Howard said in 2013. Howard also claimed that Marvel used what would have been his salary to beef up Downey Jr.'s pay, and that Downey Jr. had deliberately ignored his calls when he sought his help with his contract renegotiations. The situation was decidedly murky and remains one of the uglier episodes in Marvel casting lore. There you go. Right, Julia Sawalha in Chicken Run 2. The long-in-the-works Chicken Run sequel drew bad press in 2020 when the first film's leading lady, Julia Sawalha, claimed that she'd been dropped from its follow-up. Sawalha claimed she'd been told her voice sounded too old compared to how it did in the original movie. They wanted a younger actress to reprise the role. Sawalha wrote in a statement, I'm passionate about my work and I don't go down without a fight. So I did... Sorry, I thought I saw something. So I did my own voice test at home and sent it to the producers. However, they stated we will be going ahead to recast the voice of Ginger. I feel I have been fobbed off. To say I am devastated and furious would be an understatement. I feel totally powerless. So while I ended up being replaced in the role of Ginger by Tandy Newton, while Aardman Animation declined to comment on the switch. But is Tandy Newton a lot younger than Julia Sawalha? I don't know. I bet there's not much in it. She's lovely, Julia Sawalha, but still she's got loose women, hasn't she? Has she? I don't watch it. I don't watch it, but I know she used to be on it. And there's Ginger. Rachel Weisz in The Mummy 3. What's that got to do with Mummy 3? It's The Departed, isn't it? Bizarre. Weisz reportedly turned down the chance to reprise her star-making mummy role for a third film because she wasn't happy with the script. You can't blame her, with The Mummy Tomb of the Dragon Emperor drawing poor reviews and then vanishing without a trace in 2008. I can't even remember what happened in it. I've seen it, I've got it there somewhere in my collection, and I think I've watched it once, and I can't remember what happens in it because it was crap. It was. But then Mummy Returns wasn't very good either, was it? It was mental. But the first Mummy, chef's kiss. Great film. Fans also disliked that Weisz was merely swapped in her role by Maria Bello, who adopted a wonky British accent for the film. I think Rachel is so brilliant, and she was beautiful in that part, but they wrote my character so differently. I felt like it was a totally different woman, Bello explained. She has the same name, but she's quite a different character. Audiences could tell. I'm revolted. How do you spell that? Is that Rochelle or Rachel? I don't know. I said Rochelle. Rochelle Lefebvre in Twilight. I don't know who that is. I don't know. I've seen Twilight, but I don't know. I don't know who that is. Lefebvre was cast as Coven leader Victoria in the Twilight films. Don't know. Only to be replaced midway through the franchise by Bryce Dallas Howard. Was she? I can't remember. It was a contentious decision, with both Lefebvre and production company Summit Entertainment going at it in the press. I'm deeply hurt by Summit's surprising decision to move on without me, Lefebvre said in a statement after she insisted that her involvement with the film, Barney's version, wouldn't clash with the production schedule for Twilight sequel Eclipse. Summit disagreed, writing in their own statement that Lefebvre demonstrated a lack of cooperative spirit by allegedly taking the Barney's version role without checking with Summit first. Howard, meanwhile, stayed out of it, revealing in 2017 that she and Lefebvre were cordial with one another and that the decision to recast had nothing to do with them, adding, nothing comes between women and she's awesome. I can't remember. I've watched all the Twilight films because my lad likes them. And they weren't bad. They're not bad films, are they? They're not amazing, but they're not bad. They're not terrible. But I did notice that they do contain the actor who's in everything, Christopher Heyerdahl, who's also been in Stargate. It's a Stargate night tonight, isn't it? Spotting actors that have been in Stargate. But he were in Twilight. I think he played one of the vampires. There we go. John Goodman and Rick Moranis in the Flintstones. John Goodman and Rick Moranis in the Flintstones Viva Rock Vegas. Not seen it. I've seen the first Flintstones film, thought it was bab. That means rubbish. Both Goodman, it actually means crap. Both Goodman, if you know what I mean. Both Goodman and Moranis were contractually signed to make a sequel to the 1994 smash The Flintstones, meaning Universal Pictures had to make do without them for 2000's Viva Rock Vegas. To work around such an issue, Universal made the film a prequel and recruited the decidedly lower wattage pair of Mark Addy and Stephen Baldwin to play Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble instead. Audiences were unimpressed and the film was a colossal flop, killing the franchise as a whole in its tracks. Sorry, I think Stephen Baldwin, has he been in Stargate? But no, it's Adam Baldwin that's been in Stargate. Not related. Just same name. Excuse me. Kathleen Corley and Jennifer Smith in Harry Potter. In the early Harry Potter films, Hogwarts student Lavender Brown was played by two black actors. They're actresses. Kathleen Corley and Jennifer Smith, who were practically extras. By the time Lavender's role in the series became more prominent and got actual dialogue, it made sense to recast, particularly with a more experienced actor, but the series faced backlash from fans for casting white actor Jesse Cave in the part, with Warner Brothers never explaining why a decision was made to change the character's race just as she got more to do. I can't say I noticed, and I've watched the Harry Potter films a few times because I like them. Usually watch them at Christmas. And I can't say I paid any attention to Lavender Brown, to be honest. Sorry. Ryan Gosling in The Lovely Bones. Oh, Ryan Gosling. God. I'm not a fan. Gosling looked set for Oscar attention after signing up to play a grieving father in Peter Jackson's adaptation of The Lovely Bones. However, Gosling was fired days into production and replaced by Mark Wahlberg. Rumours swirled about the firing, with Jackson reportedly unhappy with Gosling's decision to put on weight for the role. Years later, Gosling seemed to confirm the speculation, saying that he and Jackson had a different idea of how the character should look. He continued, "I really believed he should be £210. We didn't talk very much during the pre-production process, but which was the problem. I just showed up on set and I had gotten it wrong. Then I was fat and unemployed." Oh, that's quite funny, that. Not for him, I mean, but quite funny way. I'm not a huge fan of Ryan Gosling. Apparently he's a lovely fella, and he was actually good in La La Land. But I always find him a bit of a... he hasn't got much charisma on screen. Not for me, anyway. There's a bit of an atmosphere vacuum in his scenes. And, I'm not a fan. Although I did like La La Land. And I've heard he's nice. A nice fella. Crispin Glover in Back to the Future Part 2. There he is as McFly. George McFly. I get there with names in end. Glover is a standout in the original Back to the Future, playing Michael J. Fox's nerdy father, George McFly. For the sequel, though, Glover balked at what he considered an insufficiently low salary and expressed issues with the script. Peeved, the sequel's makers recruited a new actor, Jeffrey Wiseman, and did everything they could to make audiences believe Glover was still playing the part, including using prosthetics to make Wiseman look more like him, and hanging the character upside down at one point in the film. Wiseman claimed that he heard the film's cinematographer refer to him on set as Crispin without the trouble, while actor Leah Thompson, who played George's wife Lorraine, has revealed she found it difficult to work with an imposter dude who wasn't Glover. Glover ended up suing the film's producers for using his likeness in the film via prosthetics without his permission, with the matter being settled out of court. Yeah, well, fair enough. But as Robert Meyerbenet always says, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. Robert Englund in A Nightmare on Elm Street. The 2010 remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street was the first not to feature veteran horror star Robert Englund as a dream-haunting murderer Freddy Krueger, replacing him with Oscar nominee Jackie Earle Haley. Fans were understandably upset with the film swapping Englund's manic humour in the role for Haley's grave eeriness. Englund, to his credit, always praised Haley to the hilt, but admitted in 2012 that the film itself wasn't for him. It was a little cold, he said, but Haley made Freddy his own. It was rubbish. It wasn't good, A Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake. It wasn't good. I mean, I like Jackie Earle Haley. I mean, yeah, he was Rorschach in Watchmen. It was amazing. I like that film. I think that's a masterpiece, is Watchmen. And that's a lot of that's down to Jackie Earle Haley's Rorschach. But as Freddy Krueger, no, it was rubbish. Edward Naughton in The Avengers. It took 3 tries for an actor to seem comfortable as the Incredible Hulk, with Mark Ruffalo stepping into the role of mild-mannered Dr. Bruce Banner for 2012's The Avengers. Eric Banner and Edward Naughton had played the role in separate movies before him, but only Naughton publicly condemned Marvel after he wasn't invited to return. After Marvel CEO Kevin Feige, whatever, said that they dumped Naughton in favour of an actor who embodies the creativity and collaborative spirit of the franchise. Gulp. Naughton fired back in an interview with The Independent, claiming that his exit was solely down to money and not any rumoured clashes on the set of 2008's The Incredible Hulk. Naughton said, well, apparently, because he rewrote the script, didn't he, apparently. And we're a bit of a pain in the ass. I found it a cheap and unnecessary representation that it was about things other than money. They came to me avidly to talk about it, and then at the end of the day, it was just a flat-out business decision. Marvel's going to have to deal with their own karma. They've got bigger problems than me. Oh, that's it. There we go. That's it. There we go. That was the last one. That was 12 out of 12. That was interesting, I suppose. But, as I said, you get what you negotiate, not what you deserve. Next up, this one, I don't know whether it's funny or what, I don't know. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to classify it. Investigation launched after news station includes Star Wars clip in war footage. On February 24th, 2022, Russian President Vladimir Putin's troops officially invaded neighbouring Ukraine, a sovereign nation under the leadership of President Volodymyr Zelensky. I'm not going into politics, I'm just going to read the story and what happened. I'm not going to say whose side I'm on or anything. It's a terrible situation for everybody, particularly the people that are dying in the Ukraine. In recent days, President Zelensky and the Ukrainian people have been hailed as heroes of the free world for their passionate defence of their nation. While the major city of Kherson has fallen to Russian occupation, Ukrainian troops and the civilian resistance still hold the capital city of Kiev, at the time of publication. Today, President Zelensky, if that's not yesterday, whatever, spoke harshly about the North Atlantic Treaty Organisation, NATO's decision not to close the airspace over Ukraine. The Kiev Independent reported, Zelensky condemns NATO's decision not to close the sky over Ukraine. Today, the alliance's leadership gave a green light to the further bombardment of Ukrainian towns and villages, refusing to establish a no-fly zone over Ukraine, Zelensky said during his recent address. What's this? Oh, there we go. The war between Russia and Ukraine has, of course, become global news since the invasion began. Recently, an Israeli news network has come under fire for seemingly inserting a viral Star Wars clip into a montage of war footage. Per a report regarding the situation, an investigation has been launched. Dr. Eli David was among the first to note the egregious error on Twitter. Israel's Channel 13 News reports on the war in Ukraine showing the below footage. Just one slight problem. The footage is from a Star Wars movie, trust the media. He also posted the original footage. in the thread, and there's a still from it. Here's the original news footage. See time. Oh wait, so we'll play. Oh, it's going into bloody Twitter now, isn't it? There we go. Have we got any audio? No, we haven't.
מכריע שיפרוץ לבירה תוך 3 ימים. שיחות השלום החלו אתמול בבלרוס, אבל ההסכמות כלשהן עדיין נראות רחוקות. באוקראינה טוענים כי רוסיה ו4 קילומטרים מתקרבת לקייב, ובארצות הברית מזהירים כי מדובר בנחיל מכריע שיפרוץ לבירה תוך 3 ימים. שיחות השלום החלו אתמול בבלרוס, אבל ההסכמות כלשהן עדיין נראות רחוקות. באוקראינה טוענים כי רוסיה
Mental. The scene in question was originally part of a viral video that ironically meshed popular Russian-style dashcam videos with the Star Wars franchise, per a seen article about the original video which aired on a German Sky TV network. Normally when a dashcam video starts with footage on a snowy highway, you expect to see a truck dramatically sliding off the road, or a motorcycle with an acrobatic rider flipping from the seat and sticking a landing on the roof of a car in front. This time, we follow along as our point of view vehicle approaches a caution sign on the road, passes a flaming piece of debris, and then slips by a downed TIE fighter with a couple of bored stormtroopers waiting for a tow. The whole thing is only 10 seconds, but it's long on amusement factor. The aforementioned article noted that an editor at the company responsible for the incident has reportedly been suspended until the end of the investigation, although it remains unclear how Channel 13 acquired the video, originally published 8 years ago. Yeah, I've seen it before, it's been out ages. This time, no formal statement has been issued by the news network. However, the incident does drive home the importance of fact-checking any Russia-Ukraine footage that is posted by any source. And then it goes on about TIE fighters and stormtroopers, not that we really need to know. So, there we go. What do you think about this major news footage error? Well, it's ludicrous, isn't it? I mean, who's going to believe that there's a TIE fighter crash there? Russians flying TIE fighters now, are they using stormtroopers? It's crazy. What next? What's next? When there's your Enterprise flying over or something other. Balmy. Anyway, next up, and a bit more like, there we go. This molecular drinks printer is straight out of Star Trek, but not really. But the depiction, anyway, there's the picture of it. Looks very boring, doesn't it? You know, the apple-y, but it's not apple. Depictions of the current millennium in old sci-fi movies don't always line up with reality. The skies have yet to be crowded with hovercrafts, but every so often an innovation comes along that feels like it came from Hollywood's vision of the future. In this case, it's a machine that prints beverages. Created by the California-based startup Canna, which prides itself on its eco-friendly production method, Engadget reports that the molecular beverage printer Canna 1 uses a single flavour cartridge to mix thousands of different beverages, including juice, soft drinks, iced coffee, sports drinks, wine and cocktails. It sounds fascinating. Serious Star Trek fans might liken the invention of the beverage dispenser in the mess hall of Enterprise NX-01, which provided crew members with coffee, tea, and, as shown in the scene from the show's first season, martinis. But if you follow that link, which I did earlier on, it doesn't actually show you a scene from the Enterprise NX-01, it shows you a scene from the episode I mentioned earlier, from Next Generation, the episode The Neutral Zone. You know, when one of the people from 20th century asked the replicator, not a drinks dispenser, replicator for a martini, and it gives him one. So they got that wrong, didn't they? Anyway, but the Canna one might be even more impressive. Rather than your standard Keurig, whose early models required single-use coffee pods, I don't know, I'm not up on drinks dispenser things or coffee machines. I drink instant coffee. I'm a Yorkshireman. I drink instant coffee. I've got a coffee machine in there that you put, ground coffee in, with the filters and everything. But, they're a waste of time. Anyway, the Canna 1 will automatically replace ingredient cartridges each month. How? Does it, does it automatically do it? It's got transporter system. Per end gadget, meaning customers will pay for the service on a per drink basis. I don't get it. The company claims to have identified and isolated the specific trace compounds that drive flavour and aroma for thousands of unique, commercially available beverages. This is how the machine creates so many drinks from a universal ingredient set, reports Food and Wine. The machine will even allow users to control the levels of sugar, caffeine and alcohol in their drinks with a child-proof pin. Don't get it. How does it do all this from, what is it? Where does it? It's a single flavour cartridge. I don't get it. Pre-orders are open for 2023 delivery. If you want to get your hands on one of these babies, patience is key. As of this week, customers can reserve their Can of One with a $99 down payment, which will be deducted from the total price of $499 for the first 10,000 orders and $799 for the next batch of orders, per Food and Wine. The machine's expected delivery date 2023. However, because customers will pay by the drink and not by the cartridge, it's possible that the cost of Can of One's respective offerings will go up with inflation. Prices are currently 29 cents for a sparkling water, 79 cents for an iced tea, and $2.99 for a craft cocktail. But they might be higher next year. I don't get it. If at any point Canna goes belly up, it's Food and Wine, you're out. You're out the sunk cost of the machine. That said, Can of One sounds pretty cool. It's like having a personalised beverage aisle in your kitchen, with zero trash or hassle from plastic, aluminium and glass containers, says CEO Matt Mahar. However, only time will tell if the beverage machine of the future lives up to the hype. I don't get it. How does it work? And you know what? I bet it gives you cancer. How does it get all these from a single flavour cartridge, but then you're paying per drink and it automatically refills itself, replaces ingredients cartridge automatically? I don't understand. I'm old and it's baffling to me. But I still want one because it's a gadget and I'm a bloke and blokes like gadgets. Even though it'll probably give me cancer, which I've probably got already. Anyway. Right, last story. Science. Abandoned rocket hits the moon. Scientists. And there's I presume that's the track of it. The rocket booster can be seen tracking across the sky, right to left. So it went that way. No, it went that way. That's right, isn't it? Don't know my left from my right. I don't know. I have to write it on my shoes, like Jimmy Cricket. Nobody knows who he is. No. A discarded part of a rocket should have crashed into the moon's far side by now, say scientists who were expecting the impact at 12:25 GMT. By the way, that asteroid went by, didn't it, on Friday? I forgot to watch it. It was on YouTube, a live stream, and I forgot about it. But we're still here. Anyway, the 3-ton rocket part had been tracked for a number of years, but its origin was contested. At first, astronomers thought it might have belonged to Elon Musk's SpaceX firm, and then said it was Chinese, something China denies. The effects of the impact on the moon should have been minor. The rocket stage would have dug out a small crater and created a plume of dust. Scientists hope to get confirmation in the coming days or weeks. The rocket part was first sighted from Earth in March 2015. A NASA-funded space survey in Arizona spotted it, but quickly lost interest when the object was shown not to be an asteroid. The rocket part is what's known as space junk, hardware discarded from missions or satellites without enough fuel or energy to return to Earth. Some pieces are closer to us, just above the Earth, but others, like this booster, are thousands of kilometres away in high orbit, far from the Earth's atmosphere. The European Space Agency estimates there are now 36,500 pieces of space junk larger than 10 centimetres. Yeah, that's about 10 centimetres, isn't it? No space programme or university formally tracks deep space junk. Monitoring space is expensive and the risks to humans from high orbit debris are low. So it falls to a tiny handful of volunteer astronomers who spend their free time making calculations and estimating orbits. They fire emails and alerts back and forth, asking whoever is in the best location on the planet to spot an object in space. 6 weeks after the booster was first seen, Peter Birtwistle, 63, was watching the skies for asteroids from his garden in Newbury, in the south of England. His telescope picked up a tiny dot of light tracking across the sky. Calculations suggested this was part of a rocket, he told BBC News. Space junk drops in and out of view, often unpredictably. For 7 years, he barely saw the rocket part until in January it reappeared. I grabbed some images when it passed close to Earth, he explained. He sent his pictures to astronomer and data scientist Bill Gray on the east coast of the United States. He is the expert who went on to identify it as a SpaceX booster heading for the moon. News that a discarded part of one of billionaire Mr. Musk's space missions was going to strike the moon made global headlines. But tracking space junk is often detective work, Mr. Gray explains. The rocket insignia cannot be seen. Astronomers have to piece together its identity by tracking its route backwards through space. They then match its orbit to dates and locations of rocket launches and trajectories. But some space missions, including China's, don't publicise their routes. For a Chinese mission, we know the launch date because they are televised. So I take a guess that it's going to get to the moon, usually in 4 or 5 days. Then I compute an approximate orbit, Mr. Gray explains. And sometimes he makes mistakes. Weeks after the SpaceX identification, another observer sent Mr. Gray new data, revealing that his identification was impossible. He ran the numbers again and concluded that it was the third stage of a rocket from China's lunar mission, Chang'e 5T1, launched in October 2014. China denied this, saying the upper stage had re-entered the Earth's atmosphere and burned up. Mr. Gray, sticking to his prediction, he believes China has mixed up the tracking of 2 rocket parts. I'm 99.9% sure it's the China 5T1, he says. In reality, we will never be sure. Professor Hugh Lewis from University of Southampton says the scientific value of tracking deep space junk is limited, but he says it's important to keep an eye on what's there, especially as human settlement in space becomes more likely. It's the mess we've created. Objects that we think are safe can actually return to Earth unexpectedly, he says. Wherever it came from, no one will have witnessed the booster's last moments. Evidence of what happened won't come until 2 satellites that orbit the moon pass over the projected impact site and photograph the resulting crater feature. And as the booster broke into thousands of pieces, much of the physical evidence of its true origin will be lost too. The best we've got are the estimates made by Mr. Gray and the volunteer astronomers watching the skies. There you go. So obviously if it hit the far side, we'll never know. Until, as they say, it is photographed from orbit. Or they get some astronauts to land and have a look. But that's unlikely too. So there you go. That's the news. So we'll get rid of that window. And I'll make myself bigger again. Ugly mug. Ugly mug. Right. That went on longer than I expected, actually. As usual. So anyway, so there we go. That's the news for today. Hopefully there'll be some more for tomorrow. So as usual, wherever you are in the world, be nice to each other. And until tomorrow, I'll see thee.